should come next? Shit, could we do that? I mean, no, it wouldn't work. Jeremy doesn't know that character yet. Fuck. Bunch of bullshit in this. Maybe let's just redo the whole thing. We'll call it quits for today, I guess. I have been writing movies and YouTube videos for like over a year and a half now. Recently, I've been working on this big, huge project for my next movie for this channel. So I've been, just trying to get ideas and writing out the script and everything. And one thing I really hate is when I get like writer's block. And this is very common with like with writers, with people who just do art in general. I know a lot of artists who do music, they struggle with this. And it's annoying when you just can't think of where the story could go next. And it's hard to fit all the pieces aligned like that. But just real quickly, if you are new to this channel, my name is Parren. I make short films and feature films on this channel. I like to talk about YouTube, movies, and filmmaking tips, and whatever really comes to mind. So if that really interests you, make sure to hit that subscribe button to check out more videos and more movies in the future. But anyways, in this channel, about the beginning of the year, December to January, I made a lot of videos about script writing and making movies in general and filmmaking tips. A lot of low budget stuff. I remember I was sitting on the other side of here, and I'll probably have some B-roll here of my older videos. But looking back on it, just the tips I've given out, a lot has changed, and I'm still I still follow the same stuff that I said before. But it's interesting, how much I've learned, especially making new projects, more feature films, more short films in general, just, getting better at the craft in general and getting better at writing overall. And back then I was a complete beginner at, writing stories. And, I've been, making YouTube videos for a long time. I've been on YouTube for 10 years. So I have quite the idea how to structure a story, how to do whatever. But actually sitting down to write a short film or a feature film, it's a completely different ballgame compared to a YouTube video. I remember last year for my Nick Parr channel, I would write out scripts for my video essays for GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2. Those ones were really a blast to make because, I knew a lot about those topics. I knew a lot about the story and, the characters. So it was really fun to talk about that and give out theories and, just make a whole video about that. But when it comes to movies, it's not about the writing that I haven't really struggled with. I have a really good time of figuring out the story. I have plenty of ideas. I'm really good at getting these crazy, immersive, great ideas for movies. But it's always when I have to rewrite it, or when I have the first draft done and then I have to make some changes. That's when the real struggle happens. I can make a full script like I did before. I wrote out the script for this next project, The Sunshine State. That's my next feature film. That's what I'm going to do next. I wrote out the script a few months ago, but recently there's been some changes happen, and now it's just harder to actually make the changes instead of writing the full feature. Let me give you an example. Because in the world of filmmaking and Hollywood, things are always changing. People are changing up scripts. The plans getting changed. There's different shooting dates, different actors, whatever. Everything's in a constant movement, and it's not about what you have already. It's about when things change and things automatically come to a stop. What are you gonna do next? That's where the real writer's block comes in with me, especially for writing. And as a filmmaker, I've learned that you gotta be prepared for basically anything. You gotta be prepared for the worst, and you just gotta be prepared to change it all up if you have to. That brilliant idea in the back of your mind, I've had so many brilliant ideas, for movies, not to boast or brag or anything, but it all really comes to limitations. Obviously, with these movies right now, I'm doing them on a very, very low budget. I'm doing with them my iPhone, with my friends, and my hometown. So we are very limited to our resources and stuff. I think the real block, the writer's block, really happens is when you have limitations to your gear, your locations, and whatever. Since we are doing this on a low budget, we have so many limitations with it. And like I said before, that perfect scenario for the perfect finale that you have in the back of your mind, when you're writing, you gotta be prepared to throw that out, because anything can really change. You know, you might like look back on it and be like, man, this is going to be really hard to pull off. Like for example, in the Sunshine State, there was like so many like great moments that I had to cut because it's just not going to work. Like with me, like I'm in the movie as well. I play a character, and you know I'm also directing and you know holding the camera. So it's all really up to me because I'm kind of like a one man show here with the gear and kind of like the crew side of things. I can't like act while you know directing and like holding a camera. Like it's gonna be hard that way. So there's gonna be many scenes in that I'm gonna have to like change up or whatever so I can really focus on directing or shooting with the camera. And it's gonna be hard to you know do all those things while acting on camera without anyone else really helping out. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a crew. It's just me and you know some of my friends and you know these actors who are who are going to be a part of this project. You know, when making like low budget stuff, you know, on YouTube, especially if you're like a YouTuber or a smaller like filmmaker, the odds are against you. You have limited resources, nothing like you don't have major gear. You might have an iPhone, you might have a small camera, but really you just don't have much. You know, these big Hollywood productions, you know, obviously they have the money to spend. And it really just comes down to money. If you have more money, you have more resources, obviously. But I think it's actually interesting what I found out, you know, when I was writing my scripts and writing my stories and stuff. It's actually harder to write a, you know, a low budget movie like that's really limited in your small town with just your friends than it is to write like a big Hollywood movie. Like for example, I did talk about a few times before on this channel about my Grand Theft Auto fan film. That's still in the works, and I still have like these big crazy ideas for it. And I think the story really came to mind. Like I really wrote out the full thing. I wrote the characters, and this was back in February. I really had a great story for that, and you know, of course, not to boast again, but it was great. Like I was so looking forward to it. But looking back on it, there's not a shot in hell like I would be able to do that because like I have just so many limitations right now. I don't have a crew, I don't have actors, I don't have money at the moment. Hopefully next year we'll have all those things when we do actually make that movie. But like the story just really came to mind. Like the whole writer's block is just kind of a myth, at least for me, because it's so easy for me to you know make up stories and like write and get these great you know immersive tales out of my mind. It just really just depends on like my limitations at that moment. That's where the real writer's block happens, is you know the real world aspects of things. You know, the reality kicks in. You know, oh, you can't spend that much. Oh, you know, we are going to go down to Miami. We're going to get all these actors. We're going to get this crew. Reality hits, so we can't do that yet. Especially for this project, that there's no way we're going to do that now. This is going to be a very very low budget thing, and I'm really looking forward to you know just making like low budget aspect things on this channel, just to show people that you can really make movies with what you have already. And it doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be larger than life or anything. It just has to be you know something that's personal to you, and maybe something a little bit funny and goofy, and just a good time overall. But yeah, with that being said, you know, if you're like a writer or if you're a YouTuber, you know, if you have like writer's block, or, you know, sometimes I sit here on my laptop and I just get stuck. I just can't think of where the story could go next. And it's all really just comes back to look at the story unfold, what you're really just trying to do. And, you know, eventually it will come to mind. You can't just force things. Sometimes you just gotta walk around and just think on the back of your mind, just kind of meditate on what you have already, what's available to you. That's the most important thing that I've learned. What's available to you right now? If you had to shoot something today, would you be able to shoot it around your house? Would you be able to shoot it outside a park? These are things you gotta consider if you're gonna really do it on a low budget. But as I was saying before, just take a look back at the story. How can I make all the pieces align, and how can I make this all really work? And it really just comes down to the production side of things. If you can do it today, then the possibilities are endless, to be honest. And that's really it for like writer's block. I think writer's block, it's something that, you know, obviously I just said before I struggle with, but it really just comes down to what you have available to you and your gear and your equipment and who you have already. So that's basically it. It's enough of me rambling, but I just wanted to get that out there because I know some people on the filmmaking space do really struggle with like getting ideas, getting stuck and stuff. So I wanted to make this video just to share a little bit of my personal journey with making movies. But anyways, if you did enjoy the video today, go give me a follow on Instagram to keep up to date with my feature films and short films in the future. With that being said, I hope you have a great day. I'll see you guys next time.